So some people are having fun out there.
I couldn't.
Oh, William. So we've got quite a few coming on board. Good. The idea is I'm going to give you a quick update. Then we're going to have a bit of an update from John Greg, loans and stuff. He'll tell you what's happening out there. And then I'm just going to open up for anyone else that wants to chat or ask questions. Hopefully, we can give you some more info. It's actually almost getting confusing because things change too rapidly. And you sort of, every day you have to sit there and read up a bit more on what's going on. And when they see loopholes or things are not quite right, they go back, oh, we better change that. So hopefully what I can give you today is just a little bit of a heads up on a few things that I've seen or people have asked me or come across. I'm going to share this today. Just hold on. Literally put this together in about half an hour today. So it's a bit raw, but it's probably going to be. Yeah. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
Jeff.
As usual, because it's Zoom, we should all be pretty on time. So we're all probably sitting home having drinks and want to go off to dinner. So I'm going to give you this update and we'll just see where it goes from here. Okay. So that's just a little bit of a joke about what's happening out there.
This year your wheelie bin goes out more than you.
Yeah. It's quite, that's what's happening. Lots of not much else. Now I'm just going to mute everyone because it'll get a bit chaotic if everyone's coughing or. Hang on. I just have to. I'm going to mute everyone this way. I've still got to learn. Can't mute me. Okay. So let's have a look. My kids have been helping me figure out how to do this. But they're sitting home watching TV or maths or whatever it is. So, okay. Rightio. I think everyone's muted almost. Okay, so obviously the year of 2020 is the year we stay home and watch TV or make babies or put the bin out and not much else. Okay, here's where, this is an interesting little slide. So this was taken by a crowd and they basically, it just shows you what's happening out there. Online, you know, it's going up, but spending on hygiene is going through the roof. This is the last 2 weeks. Bathroom products, pantry products, beauty products, and less on luxury items. So clients are now telling me that even the gung-ho clients that thought they were doing well are now starting to realise that things are slowing down. People are losing contracts as people are becoming hesitant. Even people with money and the wealthier people out there, they're pulling back on spending money. So for either they're scared or they're waiting for rock bottom and they'll come in and buy and do things like that. So that's a bit of an indication of what's going on. Okay, this one's a good little slide for you guys to see what's going on. So we get lots of phone calls about when things are going to happen. Sadly, the tax office took the BAS returns off the portal last couple of days, and they're slowly coming back. And they've also done an update, which they were planning on doing 2 months ago, and that hasn't gone as planned. And I think for people who have rung into our office, I think we've finally figured out our telephone problem. The people we're using didn't do it correctly. And that's been 5 months. So hopefully next week we'll have our telephone. So look, immediately there's the deductions for your tax returns for the increased asset write-off. So we're all aware of that. But as one of my clients rang up today and said, oh, should I buy new this? And then I said, well, you may make a loss. So you don't really need to increase your losses. Unless it's a bargain, you've got plenty of money to spend. Okay, so immediately with deductions, so I've talked about those two. I just have to, I think. Ooh, don't know who that was. Okay, from the 30th of March, we'll register the interest for the Jobkeeper payment. We've started doing some I know some clients have already done. Now, this is the government working through this to psychologically keep you focused. So all they're doing is just asking you to register. You don't get much back from the government. You just get an email saying thank you. Okay, the first round of 750 payments will go to support households. They won't help small business. It might put a bit of cash in the economy. Okay, early applications for early April assistance for apprentices and trainees. And then that you do for the trainee board. Now, mid-April 2020, you can get your early release of superannuation. There's a few different things you've got to jump through that hurdle, and there's a loophole there that may be good for some people. We might do a separate thing on superannuation this week. Okay, income support and the coronavirus. I think that's, and then now this is the one that we were all looking for, the 28th of April, which is the first boosting of the cash flow for employers. So that's going to start when we start lodging BASs, and then from the 1st of May we get the increase in the transfer payments and reduced deeming rules for Centrelink. And then the initial JobKeeper payments received by employers start in the first week of May. And then we had the second round payments for households, and then the second round boosting for cash flow employers on the 21st of July. So there's a few different things that are happening. We'll probably update that next week and just see where things are going. But if you're thinking you need some money next week, no. Probably the only place you'll get money immediately is obviously through Centrelink. Okay. We're getting quite a few comments on rental agreements. This is I've picked up from the government website. So unfortunately, there's a bit of a conflict in the world out there between lease agreements and law and what the government can do. So if you've entered into a lease agreement, you've entered into a contract. So technically, they can lock you out. But what they've asked for is that evictions be put on hold for the next 6 months for both commercial and residential. So those that can't meet their commitments. The government with the states and territories have agreed a common set of principles. There'll be short-term moratorium on eviction of non-payment of rent. And tenants and landlords are encouraged, this is a bit that you've got to look at if you're a tenant or a landlord, is encouraged to agree on rent relief or temporary amendments to the lease. I've seen different things agreements where people have said, oh, we'll give you 6 months rent free or half rent, but we're going to push out the lease another 6 months at the end. So the ability for tenants to terminate leases or seek mediation or conciliation on the grounds of financial distress. So there's a few things in there, but we've got to wait. Again, more information about this available next week. So this is another statement made by the government. And of course, then in the back end, they've got to do the legislation. And sometimes they come back and say, oh yeah, but this isn't going to work. And we'll have to change that. So, or they make the legislation like Daniel Andrews did last week and then found out, oh, yes, we should let people go visit each other if they're in a relationship. They have to backfire. So and both federal and state governments are doing the same thing. They're making legislation on the hop. Okay, apprentice and the JobKeeper. We're getting a few questions about some of these. Now, the JobKeeper payments, the legislation has been drafted at the moment, so we've just got to be bearing in mind that a lot of these people asking questions that are based around hypotheticals. So can I claim the JobKeeper payment and supporting apprentices and trainees at the same time? No, an employer will not be eligible to claim the supporting apprentices and trainees for any period where they choose to claim the JobKeeper payment. So basically it's saying it's one or the other. An employer group trading online will not be eligible for the JobKeeper payment where the employer is in receipt of a government wage subsidy for this same Australian apprentice. So basically there's only one way of getting a payment. And so you have to work out which is the best for you. Apprentice rebate, then claim the JobKeeper. So as the JobKeeper payment starts on the 30th of March, can eligible employers claim supporting apprentices and trainees for wages paid during the period 1st of January to the 31st of March? Yes. When an eligible employer claims the JobKeeper payments on the 30th of March, if they also meet the criteria for the supporting apprentice and trainees, they will be eligible to claim that for the wages for the period of January to March, and then they can go on to Jobkeeper. Interestingly, the apprentice may be better off getting the Jobkeeper, but the business may be better off on the apprentice scheme. So it's going to be a little bit of a toss between employer and employee, but I think as the employer, you've got to be decisive and do what's right for your business as opposed to the employee. Okay, stimulus, be careful. This is an interesting one that's coming around at the moment in my circle, is that manufacturing pay rises and stuff like that. So ATO schemes in relation to cash boosts. This may include restructuring your business or the way you usually pay your workers to fall with the criteria, as well as increasing wages paid to a particular month to maximise the cash flow. So I've been telling clients any sudden changes in wages could in fact cause you to be investigated at the end of this. So they're probably not going to do much now, but they will do stuff down the track. So what does this mean to everybody? Unjustified pay rises are probably out. So one guy rang up today and said, should I put my wage up from 100 grand to 150? I said no. Employing all your contractors from the 1st of March is out. So could swapping distributions to wages be questionable? Probably, unless there's good reason for doing it. The ATO will investigate and determine if they're in fact wages. And are wages to look back at the previous payments to decide whether you failed to withhold when you should have, and then also look and see whether you should have paid the super guarantee. So they're going to have a look at all those things down the track, and they'll probably do it based on a bit of data matching, seeing if you're outside the parameters of what you used to do. There's quicker ways now for them to find out what's going on. I've had one question, should I change my BAS to monthly to show a downturn in 1 month? So a lot of clients will be on quarterly BASs. There's not many that I'm aware of will do monthly, there's a few. And of course, the legislation, what the fact sheet says is that they're going to look at a period this time this year and this time last year. So you do your quarterly BAS for March, you do your quarterly BAS for March last year, and see if there's a bit of a change. So the briefing said downturn based on quarterly BAS info, but there's also information indicating the Commissioner has discretion, and a downturn over a shorter period is acceptable if it can be proved. So I think we have to wait for more information until we get clear guidelines. So don't go and rush and change to a monthly BAS at this stage. Okay. Jobkeeper and leave. Jobkeeper had no bearing on accrual, so that continues the status that we've already got set up. If you've got an employee and the employee's been stood down, if so, that leaves continue to accrue, and so the public holidays must be paid. Just something to note there. Okay, what if I reinstate an employee? Who pays the wage cost above the 1,500? Been quite a few questions asked about that. Okay, if the employee is to remain stood down, as what's proposed is that they'll just get $1,500 per fortnight. So I've heard some comments in the social networking is that, the employee's getting, additional $1,500. And in some cases, they're actually doing better off than what they were if they were employed part-time. So if you've got a girl or a boy Friday, won't be sexist, and they're only getting a couple $100 a week, they could be ahead of the game. If they return to the workplace and their usual pay, which is above the $1,500, you have to pay the difference, or you have to negotiate with your employee. So it might be that you reduce their hours to keep within the $1,500, but the rules are that you should be paying what you normally pay unless you've negotiated. There's also, the government came out today talking about hospitality staff doing different jobs at different awards. So that's sort of still, so it's like a barista doing a head of house job. And I think that's okay at this stage. This is an interesting one that's been mooted for the last week or so as to what's going to happen. A lot of my clients, as well as a lot of other accounting firms, have set up trusts, and they work very well for families. And I think the government's starting to realise that that's discriminating against those that are self-employed that run family trusts. So hoping what's going to come out in the legislation, what's been proposed in the latest fact sheet, is this. So the intent of the Jobkeeper payment is to enable any eligible self-employed person to get a wage subsidy, regardless of what business structure they use, where the partners in a partnership only receive share of profits. So only one partner can be nominated to receive it. Directors of a company only receive dividends, so only one director can be nominated to receive it. Beneficiaries of a trust receive distributions. Only one individual beneficiary can be nominated to receive it. So I think they've sort of come out and thought about it, and it's probably fair to a degree because you've got at least one person in that business entity will get it. Of course, the note there is still waiting for legislation. It's also, it looks like that if you've got a number of companies registered for the job, for the first stimulus, for the pay-as-you-go withholding, you'll probably get that for each entity rather than as a group. So that'll be a good thing if you've got another couple of companies going. Okay. Look, that's probably about the extent that I'm going to talk tonight on what's going on out there. Look, we could talk for hours on this stimulus stuff, but it'll give you a bit of a heads up of what's happening. If you've tuned in for the first time, there's lots of stuff on Facebook that I've put on there. We'll keep updating that, and every week, if there's some new stuff coming out, unless it's a major announcement, we'll probably on a Thursday just give you a bit of an update. I'm going to try and go back to everybody and see if I can find John Gregory. Now, John's a finance broker, so I thought I'd give you an opportunity to get John to tell you what's happening out there in the finance world. I know some of you have used John in the past. He'll be able to tell you how easy or how hard it is to get money out there, and especially when the government said, oh yes, we could get some unsecured loans. I think some of my clients have tried and they found it's not that easy. So I'll hand it over to you, John. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Fire away.
Hi, everyone. My name's John Gregory. I'm a finance broker for MoneyQuest. I know a couple of you, Bernie and Carol. How are you both? And look, I'm just going to briefly cover some of the things that the banks are doing as agents for the government. Most of you being in business, you're probably interested to hear, if you haven't already inquired, about the unsecured lending SME loan that they're offering the banks. So basically the government and the banks have got together and are offering up to $250,000 unsecured loan, being a term loan, up to a maximum of 3 years. The government has told the banks they will guarantee 50% of that loan, and the banks will cover the other 50%. So basically the guidelines around it, and predominantly offered by the four majors, is very similar across the whole four. If you qualify for that loan, so it will be determined by the individual banks once they've looked at your financials and discussed with you your individual requirements. They can offer you a loan up to $250,000 for working capital. It is not to refinance existing bank facilities, so you can't move your current loans across that facility and release your security that you may have in place for that loan. So it is unsecured for new loans, for working capital, liquidity and operating expenditure. It is not for asset finance purchases either. Basically, the loan is available on a principal and interest basis, but the good thing is it defers your first 6 months repayments. So if you get the loan, whatever that amount is, you do not have to make your first 6 months payments. However, the catch is, of course, any interest accrued is capitalised on that loan, and then the repayments will be calculated over the remaining 2.5 years of that term of that loan. You can pay it back at any time you like. Obviously, at the end of 3 years, the bank will then discuss with you your intentions to repay, refinance, whatever. The interest rate of the loan is very attractive at 4.5%, and there are no fees and charges on that loan. So if you're finding at the moment you're approaching your bank and you're having trouble raising capital for your business, and there's a lot of that going around at the moment for various reasons, this is a good option to discuss with your lender. And as you probably appreciate at the moment, they've absolutely been inundated with requests along these lines. In fact, I heard the other day that there's been 10,000 applications in the first half an hour of this being launched. So they're trying to all work through that process. What they've done is they have centralised the process in each bank, so the brokers are not allowed to submit the loans on your behalf. There is a contact point, which I have for each of the banks, and you basically either contact your existing relationship manager person, and if you don't have one, there's a centralised contact point where they will ring you and discuss it with you over the phone. But you do need to have your financials up to date because they will ask for that. Does that make sense? And does anyone have any questions around that, or has anyone tried to apply for it, more importantly?
What I'm going to do is unmute everyone, and then we can open the conversation and just see if anyone...
Okay, lovely. The second part of it, which can affect all of you, is around your home loan, even your asset finance repayments. The banks are very receptive to assisting you by deferring 6 months loan repayments. Again, very similar to the business loan in that they will say, yes, we can approve your 6 months deferral of your home loan payments because of downturn in income. Maybe your tenants for your investment property cannot meet their loan rental repayments, and basically they will offer up to 6 months. Some will do it automatically without any interrogation whatsoever. There's a couple there that probably go into a little bit more thoroughly, but the experience I've had with the most of them that I've helped clients with is they are quite okay with it. Again, at the end of that 6 month period, any interest is capitalised, and then the loan repayments will be calculated over the remaining term of the loan. So some of you may have 20 years left on your loan, 30 years left on your loan, whatever. The loan repayments will be recalculated at the end of that 6 months, and your payments will go up accordingly. So it'll only go up a little bit, basically, for each person, depending on the term of their loan. And that's pretty much straightforward. Asset finance are also looking at deferring payments. So pretty much all the lenders are doing the similar sort of things. That's pretty much covers what the banks are doing on behalf of their clients. One thing that came across my desk the other day was if you happen to ring your bank or your relationship person or your bank just generally to obtain this government-backed loan for the SME, some relationship people and business people, business development managers have taken the opportunity to try and flog other products in lieu of this particular product. So they're trying to push you towards their own bank. That's not allowed. Complaints have gone back up the line, and if you happen to be talking to your business banker, they're trying to sell you a term loan instead of this, that's not on. I had an example the other day where someone tried to offer a client a 7% term loan under normal terms and conditions, and basically told them they didn't qualify for this particular product. That's actually not allowed to happen, and the complaint went up all the way up the line. So if you have anything like that, push back. It's not allowed.
Okay. Hey, John, what happens if you're not, like you go, well, it's only the 4 major banks that are doing it, isn't it? So
it is because, it is.
Trade or someone, are they offering anything competitive to steer people their way, or are they just saying, oh, we'll leave it to the big four?
The 4 majors are offering it to both existing and new business.
Yep.
Obviously, if it's new business, they may offer you this and an opportunity to perhaps review your existing facilities with the other bank.
Yep.
which is quite normal, but they cannot do it in place of, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, it is the four majors, unfortunately, at this stage, but that's the arrangement because of the capital adequacy they have to provide. It was one of the major sticking points before they launched it. The banks wanted a guarantee from the bank that it wasn't going to affect their additional capital that they may have to contribute towards a risk-weighted loan like this one.
Okay.
That's why they can do a guarantee.
A hypothetical, if I was thought, oh, this is all going to be too hard, 10,000 applications, and I just thought, oh, look, 20 grand would see me through.
Yep.
How hard is it to get an unsecured overdraft with a bank? So let's say you don't have a bank at the moment. We'll use that as an example.
Yep.
Is it easy and quick to get an overdraft?
At the moment, under normal terms and conditions, probably not. No.
Okay, so the banks aren't doing a lot of new business is one thing.
No, not really. Look, a lot of their resources has gone into this at the moment. As I say, they may take the opportunity to try to review your other facilities or try to offer your other facilities, but in conjunction. But they're short on resources, and they're pretty much it's all been put into this, I think, at this stage. But maybe an existing client with the bank who has a good relationship with their business banker may. But the turnaround time is the problem at the moment, as you can imagine. We're probably talking 4 weeks before you get any indication. Yeah.
Okay, here's another hypothetical. I think I'm going to write up 150 grand and I go and buy myself a new Maserati or something similar. Is that going to be easily to do if I'm don't look good?
Yeah, the asset finance side of things, are you talking about through the banks or just normal assets?
Yep. Just whoever can give me the loan.
Whoever can get the loan, yeah. So the biggest problem at the moment is, you may or may not know, but a lot of these asset finance companies outsource their processing and their paperwork overseas to Philippines and India. And of course, as we all know at the moment, there's no one there. So what's happening is I'll give you a quote, but get the paperwork done and all that is, I've been waiting 4 weeks for one particular client and I don't know when they're going to get it out because at the moment, Manila and India and all the other places they outsourced it originally to are all shut down.
Okay. And
so it's more the back end. And look, a lot of the banks have got the same problem. Banks who have outsourced their loan documents, even for home loans, for example. Like Bank of Melbourne, for example, is a good example. They've outsourced a lot of their processing of the paperwork and the loan documents to the Philippines, and there's massive build-up and delays in getting that paperwork out to attend to settlements that are pending. So there's a major problem at the moment. Yeah.
Just a final question from me is: have you heard any movement that they're going to reduce interest rates on credit card debt, or is that just
no, nothing's been mentioned on credit cards at all, unfortunately. It is something.
Hurting quite a few people in a month's time.
Credit cards is something they need to address. It's just crazy. The current rates they're offering at the moment on home loans and that is quite low, and compared to credit cards are ridiculous. Yeah, but no word on credit cards. It seems to be one of those things that nobody wants to talk about.
Okay. Well, thanks, John. Just on getting loans from wherever, the tax office. We've started to renegotiate for some people. The tax office are pretty friendly at the moment. They're obviously realise that people are a bit stressed out. So it's a good time to renegotiate some loans. So we're looking at all that with people. The problem is, which concerns me a little bit because we'll have to deal with it next year, is I think John alluded the other day, is that you go for a new loan and you had a really bad year. The banks aren't going to be able to figure out how to give, what they can base their judgment on. So it's going to be important that as later in sort of about July, August, I reckon, when things are starting to turn, we're probably going to sit down with a few of you and say, okay, let's work out a bit of a cash flow so that you can work towards, building your businesses, building your lifestyle, and all the rest of it. So if you want to go and refinance, you've got some tools, not just turn up at a bank or go to someone like John and say, I want to borrow X amount of dollars, and they go, well, how's your finances looking? And you go, well, I had a bad couple of months because of. They want to see some progress down the track. So that's going to be important for some of us. With the tax office, we'll be obviously claiming back some credits from previous instalments that people paid. But again, for some clients, they were doing quite well up until a couple of weeks ago. So they may have a turn down for 4 months, but they may realise that they still have a tax bill at the end of the year. And they're going to have to, if we get back some of the money, which we're probably going to do for a lot of people, somewhere along the line, we're going to have to find the money again. I know you just got to watch the language of what they're saying. They're offering stuff, but sometimes it's not as easy as what you think when they say you can get this and you do that. Same with the state government. They've come out and they said they're going to defer land tax. They're not saying that they're actually going to not mean that you can't pay it. It's just they're going to defer the liability. So there's things like that floating around. But hopefully this time next week we'll have a bit of legislation or a bit more knowledge on some of these responses from the, because we get responses from the Treasury and they update things, and we have to sit there and work out if there's any changes in what's going on. So next week I might try and do another working example of what's there for people and how it'll work if I get time. Okay, I think I've unmuted most people. You may, if you're not unmuted, then you need to have a look at your own thing. Now, has anyone got any questions they want to ask?
Yes, I have, Jeff. It's
Sure.
Paul Nestor here.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for putting on this evening. Really good.
That's all right.
Thanks to John, too, for your input.
Oh, thanks, people.
Jeff, as you know, Paul and I are a company situation, small company, and our job is contract cleaning. And at this stage, we have no job whatsoever.
Yep.
The stadiums that we clean are closed, and we're just put on hold. So there's absolutely no income.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're sort of entitled to any of these benefits that the governments.
You actually are, and we'll have. And this is the hard thing. It's everyone in a different situation. So if you got apprentice, you might be better off on one scheme as opposed to job hunter. You'll probably get, just off the cuff, you might get the job hunter one, or keeper, sorry, not hunter. So we'll have a look at that. So there's a few things that'll come in about a month's time. You might be eligible, as is Linton. I just saw a briefing, might have been earlier this week, I haven't had time to read it, that says that you might be able to get some income from state government if your service is a nominated service that's come to a grinding halt. So Linton's a classic example where he's been told, and he's not actually directly been told, but he's been indirectly been told that he can't actually work because he's one of those non-essential businesses that have closed down for risk of what's going on. So there's a few things out there. Yeah, and so with the job seeker, that will certainly possibly apply, Paul. So
There's no job hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, the job seeker.
Seeker. Okay.
So,
Now we have one casual employee.
Yeah, so we'll probably we'll either tell you if you haven't. I don't even know how it's going to work. Like I don't know who's registered and who hasn't for that one. I know the stimulus 1 and 2 packages. I know how that works, but I'm not entirely sure how this is all going to come out. It's only brand new, early, late last week or whatever it was.
I do have a MyGov account, and
Yep.
Paul has lodged for a MyGov account. She hasn't got one just yet. And when you process that site, it asks you, are you affected by the coronavirus? And so we've both done that and said yes, and we've had the automated response that they will respond to us. So maybe
watch out,
we
I'll
might
come
be
and
better
knock on
off.
the door and take you away.
Yeah, they might.
But actually, just an example there, you've actually done it as individuals, but your company has been affected. So
Yeah, I'm an employee of the company.
Yeah, but the company also needs to register for this
Okay.
job seeker thing. So We're going through that with a few people. Some have already done it. They've had, Vicky, how many applications? I think it was about 10,000 already, I read, in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's lots of people registering. And
So when you say the company needs to register, the register for what?
The Jobkeeper.
Jobkeeper, okay.
Jobkeeper.
And how do I do that?
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. There'll be a link on it. We'll probably try and send you out a link and just let you know on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And thanks again. Okay.
That's all right. Any other questions?
Okay, I've got a question.
Go for it.
So with the Jobkeeper,
Yep.
so we've registered our business. I've registered online and automated again, saying that they'll contact us.
In due
Whenever.
course. Yep.
So what do we need to do? Are you going to communicate? Are you communicating with each of your clients in terms of, obviously each business is different. Our business is a bit different.
Yeah. So
So we're a trust with an employee.
Yes.
So with Nigel and I, our payment is a little bit different to how we have a monthly payment for Toby. So how does that work in terms?
Okay, so they've come out today and said directors will get, between 2 directors, you'll get 1 payment.
Yeah.
And then for your employees, you'll get another payment. So again, I don't know how it's actually going to work because they haven't actually released the legislation yet.
Yeah.
As soon as they do, we'll come back and talk about how that's going to.
So that's effective as of the 31st. So is it still income tested? It's not.
Yeah. So it'll be income tested by the employee. So when they get the money, because it's really like a subsidy that you're giving them to keep them employed.
Right.
And I read where you'll probably have to include it as part of your income. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't think it's a tax-free payment, unfortunately. So,
Right. Is there a catch in all this?
Yeah, the catch is I think someone's going to pay for it all one day. Probably our kids, unfortunately. Look, the government want us all to, as long as possible, to keep being employed and employing people. So that's why they've resisted against a full shutdown, I think. So they want to try and keep the economy going as long as possible. So, and you hear different stories. Like someone said, oh, yeah, they'll bring out stage 4 package next week. You know, it's hard to say because they implement things and they go. Then people, I'm on a chat site for accountants, and there's all these queries and people dividing what schemes are there, or whether like the superannuation one's a classic one. You know, like you can withdraw $10,000 and then you can put it in as a tax deduction next year. Or there's all these little schemes going around. So, as I said to most of you as I talk to you, we have to look at the legislation when it comes out. In the meantime, we'll plan for what we can do with the other packages and the other bits and pieces to make sure that you'll get what you're entitled to.
Right. So you'll help monitor all the.
Yeah. Yep. So we're aware of every client, well, most clients, and we'll start a little spreadsheet that says yes, we think they'll be entitled to this, no, so that we can keep track of who's getting what.
Right.
Yeah, it's you can imagine how much it's this confusion and angst and everything else, and people not being able to pay their bills and landlords, and it's been a real chaotic 2 weeks. And and that's just in my little practice. And then you think about all the people on the front line dealing with patients and hospitals and then governments and all that. It's a real interesting time out there. So and then we can't go on holidays, can't escape it all. So which is unfortunate. So, and it's sort of like we've got a French exchange student going home on Saturday, and she said, "Oh, can we take a couple of people out the airport?" And no, the airport's pretty much closed from what I hear. The restaurants are closed. Federal police will come up to you if you've got more than 2 people with you. So yeah, it's tough out there. So, has anyone got an update on their business or got a good news story or actually, Carol, I saw the other day, can you unmute yourself? Can you? I think you've got to get. Yeah, that's better. Carol's runs a clinic or a couple of clinics, and she went off and got herself a cleaning virus certification. Is that right?
Oh yes, I did the COVID-19 training so that I knew how to keep my rooms. Yeah,
clean.
It's actually it's not a lot of information, but I guess.
Oh, okay. And has it helped people at all, or are they continuing to go Zoom?
Sorry, what were you saying?
Are they helping? Is that helping you, or?
Well, it was pretty basic sort of stuff like washing your hands and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so it was pretty basic. But I think it's anything that, at the moment, you know, I have counsellors who I would like to use the rooms. Obviously, they need to stay home in the short term, but at some stage they're going to want to see clients face to face.
Yep.
So I want them to feel that I know what I'm doing, you know, that we've got the hand sanitizer, we've got the alcohol wipes to wipe the locks, we've got all those things to keep everyone safe,
Yeah, I mean, even at our office, we're all here spread out, and every day we're wiping the door handles down and, you know, doing all the stuff probably we shouldn't do anyway.
Yeah.
Sherelle, how's business with you?
Well, we got affected by this really early on because we just placed an order for packaging from China just as all the factories went into shutdown. So we've been waiting for our primary packaging and it's just been delayed. So it's apparently almost here now. But it's meant that we haven't been able to fulfill our wholesale orders. So we've got all these wholesalers on back order. However, now a lot of those retailers are closed. So we don't really know where we're at until we get the stock and we contact everyone and kind of say, do you still need this? And the other issue that we're facing as well is with debts. So not our debts, but our customers' arrears. So we've got a couple of customers that look like they might be going out of business and they've got unpaid invoices. Normally we offer 2-week terms, but what we're sort of thinking about at the moment is should we be at the moment just making that people have to pay before we'll send them the products?
I think in the short term, that's probably the safest thing for you to do because no one seems to know how long anyone will be in business for and how much money people have. So it's a bit like the virus. You walk past someone in the street and you go, they could have the virus. And you know, you just don't know what people's situation. And most people are honourable, but there's other people that won't be. And they're the ones you got to watch.
And look, generally they're really good and we have really good relationships with them. So it's tough because we want to support them, but at the same time we can't just keep sending them all of our stock and then for it. So
Sherelle sells natural products online.
Me too. I reckon it'll be done pretty soon.
We'll just mute Tom for a sec there. Yes. So and hand sanitizer, you got any of that in stock?
No, unfortunately we're not set up for that. Like we don't have farms, so it's all like oil based and we don't have the packaging for it, and it would just be a nightmare at the moment to try because even like all the natural businesses are now making hand sanitizer if they can. So unfortunately we don't. We're still selling okay through the website. But it's just had such a huge impact already on our wholesale side of the business. We have retail, grocery stores and all that. So.
What I do suggest is that you spend time thinking about the future and just cleaning up your website and doing stuff like that while
I've done all that stuff.
on holidays. James runs a teaching business. How are you coping out there, mate?
Well, look, we're not certain at all of how things are going to go to schools, and it almost looks certain that schools actually won't go back for the majority, if not all, of term 2. So we're looking at a quiet period, unfortunately. But I had a question, Jeff, just in relation to the Jobkeeper supplement, because it does relate to casuals, which obviously we employ.
Yes.
But the nature of being eligible, casuals being eligible, it uses the word regular work or regular employment, and I guess certainly for us, you know, we'll have CRT. Some of our relief teachers might work 1 day a week, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days a week over the last year. What would your interpretation of Regular employment be?
Good question. I think it hasn't been defined yet. I'm just seeing whether they've updated it because my gut feeling is that to show regular, you'd need to be probably, I think it's got to be over the 12-month period, and it's got to be regular, as in it can't be one at the start of the 12-month period and one, 6 months in. It's got to be someone that you've engaged on a regular basis. So
Right, so it doesn't, it's not defining the volume of hours per week as long as they've been regularly doing those hours. So even if it was only 1 day a week, for example, or 1 day a fortnight in our instance for a teacher, that would be regular.
That's what we're going to wait and see in the legislation. So Vicky's just checking the fact sheet to see if she can find something for you. But that was my understanding when I read the other day. You had to be more than just say the 16-year-old down at Macca's who was, once a week, for a couple of weeks and then didn't do anything for 3 or 4 months. So, have you found something there, Vic? Looking. We'll come back to that one in a sec, James.
No drama. It may unfold as the legislation comes.
Yeah, I think it will. And this is the thing. They come out and they had these, press things, and then all of a sudden they walk off, and then you're left thinking, oh, maybe what about this, or would that apply? So, and I think in most cases it'll be common sense stuff. They'll sit back and go, oh yeah, well, what do we define as regular? And there'll be some people that'll do all right. So, okay, Vicky just highlighted casual employees. Those employees who've been with the employer for at least 12 months as at the 1st of March. And, there must be an Australian citizen. Yeah, so that's basically, they haven't redefined that yet. So that was the other day. So we'll just watch and see. Yeah. So, so it's morely, it's saying long-term casual. So it wouldn't be a short-term casual. It's got to be someone that's there for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, irrespective of the number of hours that they're working over that period, as long as it's consistent and regular, even if it's okay.
So and that'll be, they might do quite well out of it actually, because if you could show that someone's getting $500 every 2 weeks or something, and they're getting $1,500.
Wow. Okay.
You can't pocket the difference. You've got to give it to them. So,
Can I ask a question, Jet?
Yeah, sure, Linton.
If casuals by nature usually work for multiple people, and so the part-timers, are they claiming it multiple?
So they have to choose who their primary employer is.
Right.
But they can't go, I'll go you, and you, and we'll get 15.
Yeah. And that's the same with part-timers? If a part-timer works for 2 different
you can only get one 1,500.
Only get one.
But so, that makes it. There'll be people who try different schemes, and you'll be reading 6 months later when they prosecute someone who's tried to get. I mean, it was like when they brought the GST refunds in, and people would walk. There was one guy that walked away with 300,000 before the government realised, or the tax office, and he skipped the country, and so that's why they change it now that it's delayed and they check it out. So
I've got one part-timer who works 2 days a week. He works 3 days a week somewhere else. She can only get paid once then. Yeah. And she'd probably get paid through the guy who does 3 days a week. So would I not pay her at all, or I continue,
So you just,
do I continue to pay her or do we negotiate something?
Yeah. So reading the fact thing, basically, it's to bring people back into the workforce.
Yes.
So it's not. Unfortunately, it's not to keep your business. Well, it's to keep your business going.
Yeah.
But they also want people to be employed so that they don't suffer, and it's their way of helping that out.
But she makes up her 5 days a week with 3 and 2.
Yep.
And I'm 2.
Yeah, you might be bad luck. Unless she loves you more than the other guy.
Yeah, well, it depends which one she wants. Yeah.
So,
but she's only going to get it once.
Yep. Yeah, pretty sure the legislation says only once.
Yeah.
So, Okay, so where employers participate in this scheme, their employees will receive the payment as following. They get employee receives less than 1,500. They'll just got to be paid up to 1,500. There is an example, but I'm pretty sure when I went through it the other day, it was only one. So, and it's for 6 months. So I think in that case, you need to really discuss with your employee where they stand. Yeah. Anyway, Hugh, how are you going out there, mate? You still busy or has it dropped off?
We're having lots and lots and lots of contact with prospects and leads and that sort of thing at the start of the year.
Yeah.
But as soon as basically midway to end of February, we started to see a decline then, and it's just died completely since then.
Yeah, that's not good. And I think it's going to be like that for a while now, unfortunately.
Well, it's not that bad because at the end of the day, lots of people are mostly thinking more about planning.
Yeah.
Because in the construction industry with getting projects planned out, that can take a little bit of time, and it's good that we can do that pretty much all remotely. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time on Zoom calls just like this with clients and that sort of thing, going over everything with everything that they want for their projects, and also with the designers and the engineers and everything as well. So while there's been a little bit of lost time when it comes to the on-site stuff, in a week's time I'm starting on another house and going from there. So it's not overly bad, but it's not
overly good.
It's not overly good at the same time. So I think in the next little while there's going to be some changes that do come in for lots of people for on-site stuff. So we're just waiting to see what happens with that.
Okay. Who else anyone else like to say something? Tom, has things picked up this week for you? Young Tom? Yeah,
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yes, mate, go for it.
Yeah, not yet. Pretty much we have 3 large tenders out at the moment.
Yep.
But at this stage, we're not even getting a reply to our emails.
Okay, so yeah.
We're just getting nothing really. We've probably got about 1 to 2 weeks of work left.
Yep.
Before we run dry. So we just, I don't know. We don't really know what to do, to be honest.
And that's indicative of what I've heard. I'm on a board for the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and we had a meeting on Tuesday morning, and accountants are saying similar to what I'm hearing, is that the cliff is getting closer. It's a couple of weeks away. So everyone at the moment has had a bit of work and there's a little bit of money around. But as things tighten up, and we don't know how long this will go for, the unknown will kick in, unfortunately. So we've just got to be prepared for that, and then be ready to come back out the other side. So, and just have to sit home and watch Netflix and try and have a routine. That's what I've sort of learned, is you still got to go to work, and then you still got to have a home life and do your exercise. So, is there any, Frank? How's your photography would have stopped?
Hear me now, Jeff?
You there? Yep.
Yep, you there?
Are you still doing work?
No, everything just basically came to
the grinding halt.
Yeah, everyone's basically postponed or cancelled events. The postponed ones are basically October, November.
Yep.
But everything else has been cancelled, so there's nothing in the books whatsoever. So
okay.
Planning stages pretty much. Working on the website.
Yep.
Some marketing material for when things do kick up again.
Yep, good idea.
That's pretty much the focus at the moment.
Yep.
And then
and see on Zoom meetings.
Yeah, a few network meetings are on Zoom, which is good. Getting other people's advice, throwing some ideas around.
Yep.
your opportunities are kicking out of it. That's always a positive thing. So there's a few opportunities I might sort of chase up in a month or two.
Yep.
And see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks to John as well for giving me the details about Latrobe. I've initiated a deferral for the mortgage.
Oh, good.
That'll make a big difference.
Yep.
I still haven't heard back from them, but it's all pretty positive. I'm just sort of.
No, it'll be okay, Frank. It'll be okay. They're pretty good with Latrobe.
Yeah, so I'm basically just in line and waiting for a response. So
yeah, they've been inundated, as you can imagine. So they're just but they're very good on the phone. They're very helpful, and they've recorded what you've asked them to do, and they'll come back to you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they've been really good on the phone. But they just
good.
Reiterated what you've just basically said. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think, look, there's a couple of little questions that come up which are probably best dealt with out of the public forum. So I'll talk to clients over the next couple of days. If you need anything, come back to me. Good to see Will. I'll talk to you over the weekend. Will and I went to preschool together. Basically, look, next week maybe we might have a better indication of what's going on. Did you want to say anything, Vic? Oh, Vicky's just going to tell you. Try this number if you need to ring our office, and hopefully we can answer. 9576 9337. Would the main number come back ever again?
It will.
Oh, that's good.
Temporary.
Yes, okay. Have a good evening, everyone. Go home to your families. It's raining, and we'll see you. Talk to you during the week, and see you next Thursday if you're free to join us. So,
thank you so much.
That's all right. Is everyone comfortable with Zoom? Anyone need a hand on how to use it?
I think I did all right.
Pretty good.
Good. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, everyone looks pretty good. Jeb, it's good to see you on Zoom.
I made it.
Good, excellent. So we're going to put a recording up. So if you wanted to clarify anything you might have heard, it'll go up on YouTube. And we'll try and keep you up to date as we hear something as well. So
thank you.
Be safe and remain strong.
Thanks, Jeff.
See ya. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Yeah.